Welcome back to ASBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted as always to be joined by my esteemed colleague Elliot Grigg. Elliot, we have discussed in another video what we would like to see next for Sonny Edwards, a former Sonny Edwards opponent and a man who looked devastating at the weekend in beating Juan Francisco Estrada. Many saying that he's going to be one of the best future pound for pound number one, probably one of the top 10, maybe even 5 pound for pound fighters in the world. Already at the tender age of 24, we are, of course, talking about Jesse Bam Rodriguez. Unbelievable performance against Estrada at the weekend. And this video is all about, maybe what next, what could be next for him. Could he become undisputed? Could he unify the division? Some other big fights. But before we maybe talk about unifications and fights that could be potentially next for Bam, I'm going to throw a curveball at you straight away. How do you see fight between Jesse Bam Rodriguez and the only Naoya Inoue going if that fight were to happen in, say, the next, I don't know, 12 to 18 months? I know it's a stretch with a couple of weight divisions, but I mean, there's been talk of it on social media, on Twitter. I'm seeing people throwing their names together. How does that one go down in your mind, mate?
That's such a tough question because, like you say, that performance from Bam, brilliant performance, and like you say, he's also going to be. We're all looking at a Hall of Famer here already. I think you're looking at a glittering career, and also a guy who's probably arguably maybe he doesn't have the record to back it up, but you could look at him and go, "Do you deserve to be in the top 5 pound for pound on sort of potential and style and ability? Possibly." Anyway, though, that's a different kettle of fish. I think it would come to like what weight it would be as well. And I look at the body of work that Inoue currently has. I think his CV is obviously better than Bam's. Obviously, he's obviously 31. He's older. He's actually been around a bit longer, so fair enough. But I think it's a big stretch for Bam there. If you're looking at firstly, he fought Estrada at Superfly. You got Inoue competing up at Super Bantam. You're looking at like 7 or 8 pounds. We're saying if they're like, when these guys are only weighing like 120 pounds, whatever, that's a lot of weight essentially. That's a big difference. And it's not as though Inoue's not got ability. He's got fantastic boxing ability and he's got crippling power. So for me to sit there and go, would I take a smaller Bam? Would I fancy a smaller Bam going up maybe 1 or 2 weights in the next year, say, to fight Inoue, who's been fighting up there and is comfortable up there? Would I back Bam to win that fight? No, frankly. I know it's almost like you come off the back of these victories and you think, oh, the momentum's with the guy you watched on last Saturday. But to me, it's too big a leap, man. It's just like it's too much of an ask. Could he beat other names at Super Bantam? Yes, I believe he could. I believe Bam could go up there and beat other names. But you're talking about a guy who is in the pound for pound conversation and arguably is in the number one conversation. You like Usyk, you look at Crawford, you look at Inoue. Those are the 3 names that are there at the moment. And for me, I can't sit here and say, yeah, Bam's going to go up there and beat Inoue. I don't believe he would. To my mind, the only question is whether Inoue would stop him or whether it would be points. And
Interesting.
I'm not saying Bam Rodriguez is not good enough to see the end of 12. Of course he is, but the monster carries fucking power. And if we see that rib cage tested, we just don't know what's going to happen. So for me, I can't sit and say Rodriguez is going to win. But what about yourself, Paul? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
Yeah, mate, I think we kind of chatted about it a little bit in the group chat the other day as well, didn't we? I think right now, I'm still backing Inoue to win that fight, just because I think you're looking at Inoue in his prime. Yes, he got dropped, surprisingly, by Lewis Neary last time out, but came through and won that fight again via stoppage. Like it's it's inevitable what's going to happen when Inoue fights now. Think there's no question that Bam will move through the weights, but he's only 24. I don't see the point in rushing that and wanting that fight, in the next 12 months, say. Yes, he was really struggling with flyweight, and then now where he's at Superfly is only 3 pounds above. And then again, bantamweight's only another 3 pounds. So like it wouldn't surprise me if he were to go to bantamweight pretty soon. But as you said, a jump up to super bantam, 7 pounds or whatever it is from his current weight division. I mean, I know he's probably walking about naturally at a good bit higher than that. Bam, I think he enjoys himself so outside of camp, let's say sometimes. But it's still a bit of it. I think it's a bit of an ask. Were the fight to happen in 2 years plus, might be a different story. Might be sitting here in 2 years' time. We might be sitting here saying Bam is the pound for pound number one. Then you'd be backing him to even stop Inoue. Like we don't know what's going to happen in that space of time. If they were to fight tomorrow, I'm backing Inoue still to win this. If it was next, I'm backing Inoue. But in the future, 2 years plus down the line, I think I would be backing Jesse Rodriguez, um, to beat Inoue and maybe potentially even stop him. Who knows? I think that would be fireworks, that fight. Both huge punchers, and yeah, I would. It's one I would really look forward to. That's something in the future, and kind of more, kind of more of a dream fight for us boxing fans, I suppose,
Mm.
Elliot. But just before we wrap up, I do want to kind of ask you about the current super flyweight division. I mean, we're not going to sit here and say again that we're experts in every fighter in the division. A lot of the champions and fighters in this division are, from South America, and so on and so forth. You've got got the WBC strap at the minute. Bam, WBA strap. Ioga has, IBF Martinez. It's Fernando Martinez has WBO. Tanaka has, I believe. So they're the three other champions. Do you think that he can unify the division, or will unify the division in the next two or three fights? Bam. Do you think he can become undisputed? Or do you want to see him in there with a name that Juan Francisco Estrada has beaten, and who is actually returning in a week or two here? I think he's back in the ring for the first time in almost 2 years. The one, the only Roman Gonzalez, Chocolatito. We've kind of seen Bam already. Kind of, he's a legend slayer, so people are calling him. Do you, do you see that as a fight potentially that could happen in the near future for Jesse Bam Rodriguez? How do you see that one going?
You know what, mate? That's a fight I want to see. Yeah, I don't even care if I'm sort of romanticizing it. I'd love to see that fight. I think style-wise, I'd love to see Chocolatito box. So I'd love to see that one. Yeah, I think that's a big fight, isn't it? I think it's almost more appealing in some ways than fighting some of the other guys. Some of the names you mentioned. Downer. I think he's got time, like you say, he's got time to maybe unify the super flyweight. And I don't think any of those guys, Tanaka, Martinez, Ioka, those sort of names are going to beat him. So I think he's got time to unify the division. But I think there's time is running out to fight a legend like Chocolatito, isn't it? He's probably only got a couple of fights left himself, unless he goes the Danny Williams route and carries on going forever. But I think he's only really got a couple of fights in there. So you want to get your name on that, and it'd be a great name to have on the record. And in that way, so that's what I do next. If I was Bam, that's what I'd like to see. I think Bam beats him. I think I mean, it's hard. It feels harsh saying that, but I think age and just general kind of momentum and everything's behind Bam at the moment. I think Bam's that performance against Estrada woke me up a bit as well. Thinking bloody hell, I was not necessarily expecting that. We thought Bam might win, but the way he did was so dominant. I'm actually a bit concerned if he would fight Chocolatito. I think he beat him obviously fairly convincingly. I think he can unify the super flyweight division absolutely. And then to be honest with you, I don't see why from there go straight up into bantamweight. I don't see anyone kicking around, obviously Nakatani, all those guys. I don't see anyone kicking around even bantamweight that could beat him, to be honest with you, at the moment. I really think he could clean up two divisions if he had the time and the opportunity to do so. And we've talked obviously about, Inoue, so I'm not going to sit here and talk about super bantamweight, but I think the next sort of 2 years of map should be mapped out really towards unifications, undisputed. The first fight against Gonzalez, more of a romantic one, and then maybe go up to bantam. So I would see it playing out.
I mean, I can't really add much more. Just to wrap up, I agree. I think he beats every champion and basically every name at Superfly at the minute. I think if he wanted to go down that route, he could become undisputed in the next two or three fights. No doubt about it. The Chocolatito one, again, timeline wise as well, it's going to make sense because what Chocolatito's fighting here in a week or two's time. So, and Bam's just fought. So you could technically say, well, can you throw them two in the ring in, I don't know, what, October, November time? Would kind of make sense. But as you said, age, I mean, I love Chocolatito. I arguably beat Estrada for in a lot of people's minds. They obviously had their two or three fights. But yeah, at this moment in time, it's hard to say who would beat Jesse Bam Rodriguez. And I think he would probably, unfortunately for me, maybe even stop Roman Gonzalez. But yeah, I love Chocolatito, and I'd love to see that fight because it would be if you're Bam, you want to, as he said, you want to beat another legend. You've already beat Rungvisai, you've already beat Estrada. You could potentially beat Chocolatito. Like, what a resume! Just those three fighters already just those three fighters alone. You're like, yeah, unbelievable resume. And yeah, I think he beats every champion, as I said, at super flyweight as well, mate. But yeah, that's all we have time for. Unfortunately, guys, let us know in the comments what you think. How would a potential Bam against the Inoue fight go? What about the Chocolatito fight? Does he become undisputed? How do you want to see him play out the next year to 18 months of his career? At only 24 years old, the future is bright for Jesse Bam Rodriguez. Could he go all the way to pound for pound number one? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And always, as always, please subscribe, like, share, all of that. Plenty of content coming your way. each and every day. Elliot, thanks very much for joining me, mate, and speak to you again soon.
Thank you very much, Paul. And as always, guys, thanks very much for watching.